in any of these courtrooms because he's deathly afraid of what's going to happen there. And as many of these January 6th
he's not
participants,
afraid of anything.
Oh, big man, not afraid, whatever.
I know him.
Okay, I'm sure you do know him, and I don't know him, but I don't think that man who doesn't want to even sleep in a hotel bed wants to go to jail. So,
oof. I'm going to play this full exchange for you, and it's a good one. One of the best moments we've seen on The Five on Fox News in some time, and that's saying a lot because we love seeing Jessica Tarlov take down her conservative hosts. But here, a really important topic gets brought up, and so I want to discuss that after I play the full exchange for you. And obviously, a hilarious slap down there from Jessica Tarlov to Jeanine Pirro, strangely claiming that Donald Trump is afraid of nothing, which I honestly have heard. I have not heard that claimed about someone except for little kids about their father. My dad's not afraid of anything. Other than that, I never hear someone unironically claim, oh, that person's not afraid of anything. Very weird there from Jeanine Pirro. But a much more important topic is being discussed amid this, as you're about to see. While you're watching, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Just clicking that subscribe button goes a long way. And then if you'll click the alert bell, that helps you to get notifications so you can watch videos right when they get uploaded. Okay, here it is.
Like how you're doing and how your family's going to survive looking ahead to the future. So that point is definitely out there. But to say that Joe Biden is the threat to democracy, considering what Donald Trump and his band of lawyers tried to pull off in 2020, is complete insanity. I mean, he dispatched lawyers all over the country to overturn a free and fair election. A lot of them have pled out to doing this. A lot of them are still to face trial. And he's doing his darndest to make sure that he doesn't have to show up in any of these courtrooms because he's deathly afraid of what's going to happen there. And as many of these January 6th
he's not afraid of anything.
Oh, big man, not afraid, whatever.
I know him.
Okay, I'm sure you do know him, and I don't know him, but I don't think that man who doesn't want to even sleep in a hotel bed wants to go to jail. So don't refute what happened. We know about Sidney Powell. We know about John Eastman, who just got disbarred. Rudy Giuliani, who's obviously not in very good position, how the mighty have fallen. But the point of this interview and doing it with Univision was about Latino support, right?
My goodness, on fire. I have a second clip to play for you, but first to respond to what we've seen so far. Before getting to the important thing, just a little bit more time needs to be spent reflecting on he's not afraid of anything. What are you doing, Jeanine? Get yourself together. But setting that aside, the important takeaway from this is that right now you're seeing an effort to muddy the waters and to just completely baselessly accuse Biden of being a threat to democracy, to make people less concerned about the fact that Trump is actually a threat to democracy. And we've seen a similar thing playing out with these accusations against Biden of corruption. We talked about this in a recent segment. Because they can't undo the things that caused Trump to be perceived as corrupt, they have to just add things to Biden's side of the scale, right? To balance that scale a little bit. And so they've made these allegations up, and their hope is that enough smearing can confuse enough people to think, okay, well, both sides are saying either candidate is corrupt, so I don't really know. Who can tell? That's the ideal conclusion for these Republican investigations and allegations. But then the same thing's happening here with the Biden's a threat to democracy. Trump essentially doing the I know you are, but what am I? defense to the justified allegations against him of being a threat to democracy. And so they're just turning it around with no justification, no evidence, no explanation of how that makes any sense with Biden, who has governed like a president would if they respect our Constitution and democracy. But RFK Jr. has cited specific examples, and we debunked those previously, wild lies he's been using to justify saying that Biden might be a great threat to democracy to Trump. It's crazy stuff. But Trump is obviously based on evidence, not just, I don't like that person, so they're a threat. No. For real justified, evidence-based reasons, is an existential threat to our democracy. And so because that's the case, the only thing these Republicans can do is try to balance the scale and muddy the waters and get enough Americans to go, I don't know, I guess we're just in a divided country where both sides say the other side's a threat to democracy. And that can't happen because Jessica Tarlov referred to some of this, but what are we talking about when we say Trump's a threat to democracy? I can't go through the whole explanation again because my regular viewers would turn off the show because I've gone through it so many times. But if Trump had gotten his way through schemes that prosecutors are currently saying, and thus prosecuting Trump for, illegal efforts and schemes to block the peaceful transfer of power. One example being the fake elector scheme, getting allies of Trump to assert themselves to be, through fraudulent forms, the lawful electors, and say, actually, we're the real electors and we're going to vote for Trump from a state that Biden actually won. And then they pressured, so much pressure being put on Mike Pence, it led to chants of hang Mike Pence from Trump's followers because they were hearing Trump's rhetoric about Mike Pence. So publicly and privately, this pressure was being put on Mike Pence to just accept those electors as the lawful ones and then say, even though this isn't what the electoral college count actually yielded, Trump won in the electoral college. And then that would have thrown us into a constitutional crisis. And if Donald Trump had gotten his way, that would have been his justification to just stay in the Oval Office, despite the fact that he lost to Joe Biden. And I have to say again, just MAGA, please, not that you're listening this far into the video, but let's say that you are, please. And I'm saying this with love in my heart, humility in my mind, and my hand reached out to you. Do you think you would feel it acceptable to observe? Let's say Trump wins 2024, but let's just say it, all right? Trump wins, and then Biden gets fake, fraudulent electors to assert themselves to be the lawful ones, and then gets Kamala Harris to acknowledge those as the real ones and certify those. And let's say this worked and then Biden stayed president despite losing to Trump. Would that feel okay to you? Or let's go further back than that. Biden started calling local officials and try to get them to throw out their lawful count and disenfranchise millions of voters and just claim Trump the victor of their state. I flipped it around. Biden the victor of their state in my analogy. Would you feel okay with that, MAGA? No, probably not. Hopefully not. And neither would I, because that would be violating our democratic process and constitution. And that's what Trump did. And not to mention the other elements of the scheme. And of course, it all ended. The conclusion of this story, sort of, was Trump spewing all these lies to justify him trying to block the peaceful transfer of power, allies of his breaching voting sites, just crazy stuff. And then it all concluded in him inciting a mob to attack the Capitol when he was desperate and realized none of these schemes were working. So he got close. He wasn't successful, but he got close to not allowing our democratic process to prevail. So that's what you call threatening democracy. Then, sorry, this is going on a while, but I have a hard time once I get in this discussion, getting out of it because it's so crucial and there's so many details I want to include, but this will be the last one. Then, after all that, Trump had to leave office because the schemes didn't work. Certain people like Mike Pence didn't go along with these undemocratic, unconstitutional efforts. And so then Trump is now promising what he'll do in his second term. And he said, we should terminate the Constitution. He wrote that on Truth Social. Massive fraud of this type, Mag 2 allows for the termination of all rules, regulation, articles, even those found in the Constitution. He said the government should go after media outlets he doesn't like, called certain press outlets criminals for doing coverage of him that he doesn't like. He's called for the execution, or said it would be justified in times gone by to execute his former top general for not being loyal enough to him. If you can't see how that sort of rhetoric, after seeing the record that we've seen from Trump, threatens democracy, I don't know what's wrong with you, okay? Not to mention him saying he's going to get retribution and prosecute his political opponents. The plans behind the scenes for a second term include using the Insurrection Act to deploy the military on the streets to crush demonstrations against him, trying to uproot the bureaucracy to prevent any pushback for whatever he wants to do. So this is the real deal. And turning around and saying, well, Biden is too, then I guess, is dishonest, silly, and lazy. Here is the second clip.
Interesting that this came out yesterday and we had the ruling taking us back to 1864 in Arizona about abortion, because Latino votes in Nevada and Arizona are what are going to be really crucial there. 57% of Hispanics say abortion should be legal in all or most cases. And Donald Trump is out there defending his stance of you leave it to the states. He did say today, I won't support a federal abortion ban. He has said before that he supports a 15 or 16 week ban. So I don't know if he's going to be consistent with that. But Democrats are going to make that a centerpiece of this conversation, as they should. Yeah. That's it.
Joe did not look good there.
No, he looked bad.
I'm glad that's what you took from what I said.
No, I was just,
That is American politics in a nutshell right there. Well thought out, important points about one of the biggest issues facing Americans in this election. And then Joe Biden didn't look good in that video. This is what I talk about so often too. I'll be in discussions with people in my private life, and I'll be rattling off historic investment infrastructure, green energy, lowering prescription drug costs, ACA expansions of healthcare for veterans. And then the response is, yeah, but he's really sleepy sometimes. Come on. That's a thing. Like, we can discuss that. I just don't know why it's the only thing that we seem to discuss, often in place of other more important conversations. Like I said, please make sure you're subscribed. You can drop a comment to let me know what you think. Lately, I've been getting more into scrolling through those comments and reading what you all have to say. So do let me know, unless you're just, well, you know who you are. I don't want to hear from you if you know what I mean. I'll talk to you in the next video.